3 days before the DC Open. That's all the time it took for one of the most exciting stories in tennis to completely fall apart. Venus Williams and Alex Eala, a living legend and the sport's brightest rising star. They had already played together in Bad Homburg, and the chemistry was undeniable. Washington was supposed to be the encore. Fans were counting down. Commentators were building segments around it. This was the pairing everyone wanted to see. And then, without warning, it was gone. The draw sheet changed. Venus Williams was now listed with Diana Schnaider. Alex Eala's name had vanished from women's doubles entirely. No press release. No explanation. No statement from Eala's camp. Just silence, and a blank space where anticipation used to be. Within minutes, the internet did what the internet always does. Theories exploded. Did they fight? Did Venus drop her? Did Eala walk away? Fans who had been building up this reunion for weeks were suddenly asking a very different question. What happened between them? Here's the truth. Nobody outside their inner circle actually knows. There is no confirmed injury. There is no confirmed rift. There is no statement blaming either player. What we have is an empty space on a draw sheet and 1,000 assumptions rushing in to fill it. But if you strip away the noise, two explanations remain standing. The first is medical. A small physical issue, nothing dramatic, nothing tournament-ending, but enough to make an extra event unnecessary. The second is strategic. A calculated decision to put everything into one target. Singles. Nothing else. And here's what almost nobody is talking about. Both of those explanations point to the same conclusion. This wasn't a breakup. This was a decision. Think about what doubles actually demands. It's not a bonus round tacked onto the end of a long day. It's another full battle. More warm-ups. More explosive sprints to the net. More serving. Less time to recover between matches. A player can walk off a brutal singles win, begin treatment, and then have only hours before stepping back onto the court to do it all over again. For a completely healthy player hungry for more matches, that can be a gift. For a player nursing even the smallest concern, it becomes a gamble. And gambling with your body in the middle of a career-defining stretch is exactly the kind of risk a smart team refuses to take. So picture it from Eala's side. She's not just entering another tournament. She's entering Washington with real stakes attached to her ranking, her progress, her trajectory on tour. Every ounce of energy, every recovery window, every tactical session now bends toward one single goal. Singles. Nothing splitting her focus. Nothing splitting her legs. That focus could be the difference in Washington's brutal hardcourt heat, where matches aren't decided in the first exchange. They are decided 3 hours in, when the legs go heavy and the mind starts negotiating with the body. Eala's game lives on early contact, sharp footwork, and using her left-handed angles to drag opponents out of position. That style is a timing game, and timing is the very first thing fatigue destroys. Take away doubles, and you take away one major drain on that timing. You give her serve fewer extra representatives, but you also give her shoulder, her legs, her back one less source of accumulated stress heading into a tournament that could define her summer. None of that erases what was lost. Let's be honest about the trade-off, because it's real. Playing beside Venus Williams isn't something you replace with practice representatives. Venus reads a doubles court like almost no one else alive. She knows how to suffocate a returner without touching the ball. She knows how to sense the exact half-second a point is about to break open at the net. That kind of knowledge doesn't transfer through a highlight reel. It transfers through standing beside her, point after point, match after match. Eala had that chance. And now, for this tournament, it's gone. There's also the spotlight to consider. Venus draws attention wherever she steps onto a court. Eala carries a passionate, rapidly growing following of her own. Together, they weren't just a doubles team. They were a story that pulled in casual fans who don't normally watch doubles at all. Generations colliding. Cultures colliding. That storyline had power, and without it, some of that automatic attention disappears too. But here's the twist nobody's talking about. Losing that spotlight might actually work in Eala's favor. Because now the eyes on her in Washington won't be watching how she blends with a legend. They'll be watching her. Just her. How she moves. How fresh she looks in the third set. whether the extra rest translates into patience instead of panic when a rally stretches on, whether removing one obligation gave her exactly the platform she needed to show what she can do alone. And about Venus pairing with Diana Schnaider? Don't read too much into that either. It doesn't prove Venus found someone better. It only proves Venus still wanted to compete in doubles once her original plan fell apart. Schneider is talented, powerful, dangerous at the net in her own right. That's a separate story entirely. It has nothing to do with why Eala disappeared from the draw. So where does that leave us? With an uncomfortable, unsatisfying answer. We don't know exactly why this happened, and pretending otherwise, dressing up speculation as fact, would be dishonest. What we do know is this. A partnership that mattered didn't end because of conflict. It ended, most likely, because priorities shifted, and the biggest prize on the table right now is a deep singles run in Washington. The real drama isn't in what was cancelled. It's in what comes next. And that's the part most reactions online completely missed. Everyone wanted a villain. Everyone wanted a reason to be angry, a betrayal to point at, a headline dramatic enough to justify the shock of seeing that name disappear from the draw. But professional sports rarely hand out clean villains. What they hand out, far more often, are quiet, unglamorous decisions made in hotel rooms and training rooms, decisions nobody sees, made by people trying to protect a career that's still being built. There's no camera crew in that room. There's no statement drafted for that moment. There's just a coach, a physio, maybe a parent, weighing two paths and picking the one that seems safest for the weeks and months still ahead. That's not scandal. That's stewardship. And it's the kind of decision that almost never makes headlines, right up until a draw sheet quietly changes and forces everyone to notice. Because now, everything rides on one court, one bracket, one relentless singles campaign with no safety net and no distractions. If Eala walks out there moving freely, striking early, staying sharp deep into matches, this decision writes itself as brilliant. If she looks anything less than fully switched on, the whispers about a hidden injury will only grow louder, confirmed or not. Either way, the answer isn't coming from a press release. It's coming from the scoreboard. The reunion with Venus will happen again someday. Doubles partnerships shift constantly, and one cancelled week in Washington doesn't close that door forever. But this week was never really about doubles at all. It was about whether a rising star could recognize the moment a smaller opportunity had to be sacrificed for a bigger one. Alex Eala didn't walk away from Venus Williams. She may have walked towards something bigger, and Washington is about to show us exactly what that decision was worth.